Okay, so in the last 3 years, I've generated over $5.3 million in cash collected for e-learning companies in remote high-ticket sales. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a live call review from one of my sales calls that had a next to none perfect discovery process. I don't know about this outfit though, where I was actually able to take this prospect through the whole entire process, started pitching 13 minutes in, sent the prospect into finance and closed a 7.8K deal in full. And look, if you're watching this video right now and you don't watch this the whole way through, I just don't see how you're ever going to be successful in terms of having a perfect discovery process. So get ready to sit back for the next 20 minutes, take some notes, and let's go.
Beautiful. Can you see me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. Always good to put a voice to the face. Well, yeah, it's good to connect. I appreciate you filling out the job form. I seen you did that one just before. But cool, let's just get right into it so we can maximize the time we have. Now, obviously, you mentioned you're working in admin at the moment, right? So I guess what's over the horizon for you? Are you looking at starting e-commerce as like a side hustle to make extra cash, or are you looking to like transition into this full time?
I think probably.
So the biggest thing, especially if you're in closing calls yourself at this point in time, the biggest thing you can see, there's no fluff. I'm just right into it. I've got the high frame. I have high authority right away off the bat. Look, I mean, right here, just preempting, you can see that having a perfect discovery defaults having a shitty outfit on, because the outfit I'm wearing here is just absolutely diabolical, like an orange polo with a cap. Like, I don't know what I was thinking for that day, but as you can see, nonetheless, coming in with a strong frame, just cracking right into it.
Transition into full time. Like, I'm 59, so you know, like, so I need to start thinking about something else. And this sort of 9 to 5 bizzo isn't really working for me.
Why's that?
There's no time. There's no time.
So as you can see right off the bat, a lot of closers, and look, I've trained lots of salespeople, and a lot of closers just do not probe and clarify enough. And if they do probe and clarify, most of the time they're probing and clarifying on the wrong things. So the biggest thing you want to listen out to when you're talking to your prospects is the direct language they give you. And they're almost like hot buttons, if you will. You want to make sure you're probing and clarifying on the right hot buttons to go into. How many hours do you work on a week?
I only work like the standard, 40. But there just still doesn't appear to be any time, and I don't even know why, whether it's because of kids or whatever, but you know, I just don't feel like I have the time.
Yeah, we have a lot of clients come to us and say similar things. Now, the reason I'm doing that is it's very important, no matter what you sell. If you sell B2B, B2C, business coaching, fitness, it does not matter. But the reason I'm saying, a lot of clients come to us and say similar things. Now, number one, they do. Like, they actually do. But the reason I'm emphasizing to the prospect here, to the potential client here, that a lot of clients are in similar positions to you and they say similar things, is because it makes the prospect feel heard and seen. And you're also, in a way, resonating their situation with your other clients. So then later on in the conversation, or even in this next part of the process, which I might go into, I don't remember, you can almost put her on the pedestal of the successful clients you do have from where they actually came from in the past as well. Like a hamster in a hamster sort of thing, just working day in, day out, not much time. So it sounds like you're looking for a bit of freedom.
Yeah.
So let's go back just for a second here so you can hear this in full length and see what I do.
Appear to be any time, and I don't even know why, whether it's because of kids or whatever, but you know, I just don't feel like I have the time. Yeah, we have a lot of clients come to us and say similar things. Almost like a hamster in a hamster sort of thing, just working day in, day out, not much time. So it sounds like you're looking for a bit of freedom. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is, a lot of our other clients come to us and say similar things, resonating our successful client situation with hers, so she feels heard and seen. And then what we're doing with that hamster, it's called a label, right? So we're almost putting them in like a category, a label, so to speak, giving them almost like an identity. And that's an identity they don't want to be in. So when you can label someone in that sort of category, not only are you already expanding upon the problem 1 minute and 55 seconds in, but what you're doing here by doing this is you're helping the prospect envision how bad their situation really is. And it's super powerful because you can actually relabel her with the hamster wheel effect at any point of the conversation. Okay, sure. And then how long have you been feeling this way? Like, you just don't really have much time and stuff like that? Like, for a while. I suppose I've had stresses with separation from my husband, even though that was quite a few years ago, but things still haven't been sorted properly. So I think just with the added stress of wanting that sorted and where that's going to leave me, then so I just sort of know that, this isn't gonna work for me in the long run.
Yeah, it makes sense. And just to understand further here, like, not having like much time for you, and I guess like having a little bit of stress there, like, is that like affecting other areas of your life, like outside of work as well?
Yeah, I think so, because
So this really is the biggest separator between an average okay sales rep to the top 5% to the top 1% of the industry. Is we're only 2 minutes and 47 seconds into this conversation, and she's already starting to explain her life story to me. She's already given me all the problem and pain. And sure, she might be a little bit more open than some prospects, okay? But that's only done through the right line of questioning and going into the problem as quickly as you can. A lot of sales reps, a lot of closers, they get caught up in the connection phase where they're asking a bunch of fluffy questions. But the whole overarching goal is you want to find out why she's here and go into problem as soon as you can so you can actually start to create that gap.
I feel like I'm just too tired to do anything, you know, so I just think all that stress just brings on fatigue for the weekends and you know, and all I can think about is, I've got to clean the house, or, you know, I've got to get this done. And because I suppose there's no time after work to do anything, everything's closed, everything's done, you know, so I can't go do things after. Everything has to be done on the weekends as well. So and so it's just mundane crap.
It sounds like trouble. And I don't want to be too personal, but like what's that doing to you? Like obviously like just doing that repetitive cycle.
Yeah.
So what you can see here is I've found the hot button that's causing the external pressure for her, but also the internal pressure. So like I'm just internalizing that. I'm pressurizing the internal pressure she already feels. So she's went ahead and gave me a problem and I'm just running with it. I'm probing, I'm clarifying, I'm probing, I'm expanding, I'm clarifying, I'm probing some more, and I'm expanding even more as well. And that's the quickest and the fastest route to go ahead and build that internal pressure in your prospects. Because the reality is your prospects aren't going to sell and close on that call, especially on the first call, when you're building external factors, when you're building external pressure, right? External pressure as in, we've got this discount, you should buy today, right? That's external pressure. Internal pressure is when you can navigate a prospect situation, open up their problems, get them to say all the problems out loud to you, probe, clarify, and expand upon that situation as well. And this is the sort of result you'll have.
Yeah, it's just so depressing. Like it's just so, I just can't see a way out of it. And I'm so sick of living, you know, from paycheck to paycheck kind of thing. You know, I just need to get away from that. And like I said, I've got this pressure that, you know, he wants me to sell the house and all that, but it's just, you know, that's going to leave me, you know, in a pretty bad situation. I want to give you some recognition
there. I do want to give you some recognition for actually reaching out in the first place, because, you know, there are a lot of people who just, you know, sit in their situation and, you know, have sort of a victim mindset. And they just let things compile until they're retired. And they have to show for it, right? So kudos for you for actually reaching out and trying to find a way. But I guess just so I can see your rationale, like what's really... Okay, so as you can see, we're 4 minutes in. We've already got a heap of, like, so much pain, so much problem, right? We've already expanded. We've done that sequence perfectly, right? Probably couldn't have been done much better from that point on. Now, the reason I'm not going any further and the reason I'm giving her recognition, I call this a recognition frame. So it's to lift the prospect up before we once go into the desire, and then we go into the consequence of an action. Because the whole point of a sales call is you want to help your prospect, but you don't want them feeling like shit the whole entire process, or they're just not going to like you. Because if someone's feeling like shit the whole conversation they have with you for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it is, they're not going to really like you. But the biggest thing we're doing here, it's more of an identity shift in itself. Because we're saying, well, look, I want to say kudos for you. I want to give you some recognition for reaching out to us in the first place. Because like a lot of people in your situation, they would stay in the exact same situation in that sort of victim mindset, right? So we're labeling her once again, just like the hamster wheel label. We're labeling her in a way here where it's like, well, you're not the sort of person that would stay and sit comfortably in that victim mindset. So when we get to the end of the call, we're just building leverage, right? Because we're giving her the kudos, we're giving her the recognition because she has made an effort to reach out and get in the call. But we're doing it in a way where we have leverage at the end of the call, where we're building her into the identity of someone who would buy the product we're selling, right? Because the sort of person who has a victim mindset, like we're saying is not going to buy a product or be here in the first place. But she is the sort of person who's not a victim, and she's going to be a buyer. Victim mindset. Yeah. And they just let things compile until they're retired.
Yeah.
And they have to show for it, right? So kudos for you for actually reaching out and trying to find a way. But I guess just so I can see your rationale, like what's really you wanting to like start an e-commerce or look into e-commerce, like rather than just, I guess, like possibly looking into like a different job?
Well, I think it's, you know, like I said, I'm 59, so it's not as easy, you know. And to be honest, I just want a bit more freedom, a bit more control over over what I'm doing, you know.
Okay, so for the ones who don't know what the rationale question actually entails, or the like principally speaking, if you don't understand rationale, The reason we ask this question is because we're tying off any loose ends. When I say loose ends, I mean any potential objections. So all in all, we're just pre-handling objections in a way because we're cutting off all loose ends and all ties to any potential other route she could take outside of doing what we sell on this call. So as an example, if you're talking to an electrician or a tradie, you can just say this to them. Well, just so I can see the rationale, Mr. Prospect, like why don't you start your own electrical business or try and find another job where you can have more of that freedom for yourself? Oh, well, if I start a sparky electrical business, I'm not going to have the time I want for myself because I'll still be attached to the tools and it's just too much admin. I don't want to do it. Oh, and if I find another job, it's just going to be the same thing, repetitive, on the tools every day, yada, yada. And just from that one question right there, once we get to the back end of the call, all of those loose ends and potential objections are now cut off. So what the prospect can't say towards the end of the call is, yeah, it looks good, Liam, but I just want to go and do this because they've already told you why they don't want to do it and why it won't work.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to work. Situation. Yep. You know, I still love to work and I'll always want to work. But I work in a youth justice precinct. So, like a youth detention, like youth precinct. Okay. Yep. And so I'm working for the Victorian government. Yep. And I just don't want to work for the Victorian government. I want to be in that, and I'm just, there's got to be more out there.
So as you can see, before I even mentioned what is going to happen from me asking what's the rationale of you doing this rather than X, she's just given me exactly what I need to hear. So when we get to the end of the call, she cannot say to me, well, look, it looks good, Liam, but I just want to continue doing my government job, because she's already said why she doesn't want to do it, because it's not going to give her her desired outcome, the reason why she's on the call with us.
There,
Yeah. No, and
I've got more control over it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I guess before we connected today though, have you done anything about this in the past, in terms of looking into starting a business? Have you talked to anyone, anything like that?
No, not really. I've seen it lots of times and thought about it, and then I just, they always seem to be a bit, I suppose a little bit dodgy. Maybe that was perhaps the feeling I was getting. So I want to deal, with just be straight up front,
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I want. And there are so many products out there that are just so crap, and that frustrates me endlessly. Yeah. And this seems a bit more, honest, a bit more, upfront, I suppose, and being in Australia.
Sure. Yeah, well, I would say the biggest difference is a lot of people, this is why 90% of people get stuck when really starting, because have you heard of the term dropshipping?
Yeah. I don't really understand it.
Yeah. Really, that's what 90% of people do. They find a product from China. It's shit. Let's be honest with you. And they slap on it. So the reason I said, what have you tried anything before we connected today? Have you tried anything in the past? Is because we want to find out. This is once again going into objection finding, pre-handling objections as well. The overarching goal to objection finding is to pre-handle those objections in itself. So as an example, she said to me, everything looks dodgy. Now, right here, I'm just getting on the same page with her, so we can overcome that uncertainty and that objection, so to speak, on the same side of the table before it even comes up. But a lot of people are just going to say, well, everything seems too good to be true. I haven't had the time. So we want to identify these objections and overcome those objections right here and there. Website, they sell it. And this is why 90% of people get stuck, and it's not a sustainable into the future business, right? Because it just dies out in a few years.
Yeah.
But I guess what specifically caught your attention from us?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I just thought it looked, maybe it was one of those 11 o'clock moments. I can't remember. I don't really know. But I suppose for me, I was just at a point that, what, I just need to look into this a bit more. I need to start being proactive and not just, sitting back, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I just need to take. Okay,
so we got there eventually, but going back in time, I would personally do this a little different now, as this was nearly a year and a half ago, this call year. But when she said, I guess it was one of those 11 o'clock moments, the way I would personally do it now is I would not attack it, but I would probe into that right away. Well, 11 o'clock, Jackie, how do you mean by that? I'm sure you don't just make 11 o'clock random moments on a random Tuesday. What's really changed for you and shifted for you since you, I guess, seen the dodgy other businesses, and then you've seen ours? What's changed since then? And as you can see, she's literally going into that right now. So we still got to the same outcome we're looking for, but overall, I would have just been a little bit more witty with it. And I would have just probed into it a bit quicker, just to uncover the truth a lot quicker.
Yeah, I just need to actually do something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It was like a leap.
But right there, we got to the outcome. She needs to do something. So there's obviously that internal pressure, which we've already built up in the problem awareness stage itself.
for faith, So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, like obviously we want to put you in the best position possible moving forward. Like if this was a good fit. So what do you feel like you ideally need from us? Like let's say like you came down to the Gold Coast office with me and we all sat down and we just met that again. Now going back once again, I would have dove into that a little bit more just watching this back now. And I want to emphasize this because you want to really find out what's changed. So she did give us the outcome of she knows she needs to make that change, but you want to emphasize that as well by saying that to her. Like what shifted recently? What's changed since she came across those other companies to now though, right? And then when you say dodgy, like how do you mean by dodgy, right? So you really want to uncover those truths and see what uncertainty is lying within the prospect situation, because we don't want any of that uncertainty coming up to the end of this call as well. Game plan, right?
Yeah.
Like what do you feel like you need from us so we can take you from like where you are now to where you want to be in the next 12 months? Like what do you feel like you need from us in terms of coaching, support, etc.?
Well, I definitely need guidance.
Yep.
Is probably the main thing, I think. It's just guidance and, and learning. So, and just to be honest with me, I'll be honest with you. And, tell me the reality of it. Explain the reality.
Did you see any of the client results by chance?
Did I see what, sorry?
Did you see any like the case studies of the client results?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
there's a reason we get those client results. It's because we operate on a high level of trust, accountability, and honesty, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see you have that same like sort of moral compass moving forward as well.
Yeah.
And of course, like we don't like obviously you don't want to waste your time. You're not wanting to like make $500 a week, right? You want to actually have freedom to take control.
And I don't want to waste your time either.
Yeah, of course. So, and I can respect that. So with that being said, like let's say for the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months, you have the right activity, you have the right input, you have the right coaching and guidance as well. More importantly, what are you ideally looking to make in net profit like every month?
Oh, look, it's it can be difficult when you're just living week to week as to what's reality. What would be good. Let's face it, the more money you get, the more you tend to spend, and the more you can do. Okay, so, but I suppose 15,000 a month would be just gold. For me. Like,
is that your real goal?
Hey,
is that the real goal?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a starting goal. Of course, I'd like to go bigger and better, but I suppose
So this is one thing I love to do, right? So when someone gives a financial goal, especially when you're selling B2C and you're selling some sort of financial service outcome based product, or like some sort of business coaching or just biz op in general, when someone gives you a financial goal, I always love to say, hang on a second, Mr. Prospect, is that the real goal or the humble goal? And the reason you do this is because the biggest thing when you're making the financial gap or when you're getting the financial number, you want to separate a big enough gap where it's totally impossible for any 9-to-5 job to ever sustain and reach, the number they tell you. Now, 15K, not many people in Australia make that, or even in America or any first world countries. I think that's like the top 5% or top 10% of earners. So 15K a month isn't the bad goal for a prospect to give you, but I always want to expand the goal as far as I can push it, right? And you never want to say, 15K isn't that much. Like, how much do you want to do? Like, what's the real goal? That comes across a little bit too attacky, and I see so many sales reps do it that way. I personally used to do it that way too. The best way I've found to do it is just by saying, is that the real goal or the humble goal? And you want to say it in like a bit of a witty tone. So then the prospects always go, I guess you're right, Liam. I guess like 30K would be nice. Cool. Bang. We've just got an extra 15K financial number gap. So now the product and the service you're selling on this call or the Zoom meeting, it is now such a bigger gap from where they are now to where they want to go. And your service being able to provide and bridge that gap for them. And on top of that, it just gets the prospect to think bigger as well. 15K to start.
Yeah.
I think that's a respectable number. It's very, very achievable in the first 6 months. And I don't just say that, like truly it is, right? But I guess like how do you see things like changing in I guess like in your day to day from like getting to a point like where you have the right activity, more importantly, firstly, getting to a position where you can make 15K net every month. Like how do you see things changing like from that point on?
Well, I think just growing in confidence, and knowledge. I think the more knowledge and I, have, and the more I get into it, then the more I'm going to want to grow because the potential I'm assuming is there. So, and then just totally just move away from, quit my job kind of thing. That is.
Okay. So a very, very advanced ninja-like tactic I would do here, and it's what I do to my sales calls today. Let's say, for example, you're going through Desire and they don't give you the best Desire response you're looking for. As in, I'd be less stressed. I'd have XYZ. I could travel, I could have more freedom. They don't give you all that stuff, right? If they give you an answer like this prospect gave me, saying I'd have more confidence, what you want to do is you want to do the inverted desire flip. So what I mean by that is, if a prospect says I would have more confidence, I would grow, this is what you do. Okay, and can we get a little bit personal here for a second, Jackie? Yeah, sure. When you say it would allow you to have more confidence and have that growth, like, I don't want to be too personal, like I said, but like, when was the last time you feel like you had that growth? And when was the last time you felt confident? And what this is doing here, it's just going to get super deep and personal. And in all honesty, I've had prospects cry doing this sort of stuff, right? Because you're getting super deep and personal. Because typically what a person wants is what they don't have, right? So when someone is explaining the desired outcome, the desired transformation, whatever it is, right? They're always going to tell you they want what they don't have. So you can easily flip it on its head. And this even goes, if you struggle in problem awareness for a certain specific prospect or call you have, and you struggle to reloop, because it does happen from time to time. Not every sales call is going to be perfect, right? The best way to reloop and get problem even further down the track is just by doing the inverted reframe in desire by whatever they give you. Can we be a bit personal here? Like, when was the last time you felt like you had that confidence? Or do you not feel like you have confidence like right now? I don't want to be too personal, but like, do you not? Right? So whatever is the best way for you to frame it in that specific context of that conversation you're having, it's the best way to create problem. And even if you did a good problem sequence, even just to expand upon it again, it's very, very effective.
Yeah. And what would that do for you, like, more so like personally though? Like getting into a position where you can take control, have less stress, have more freedom for yourself, and actually do the things you want to do? Like, what would that do for you personally?
It would just, it's absolutely life-changing. Like, just for the first time being sort of financially really independent, and, being able to, go on a trip and not think about how am I going to pay for this? How much money, do I need to have? And all this kind of thing, which I've always had to do with my kids. I want to go away with them for a little bit. I can only go so far. I can only spend so much, but I always still do it. But it'd be nice to not have to think about those things. So
not having, I guess, that restriction on like what and where you can go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, I'm taking them to Phillip Island for a week next week. That's as far as I can get. At the moment, but you don't have to go all over the world. You can have fun at home. So yeah.
And look, I am curious though, like with what you are doing now in terms of admin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would it take you to get to a position where you could, make close to 15K per month? Like, let's say you keep working there until you retire. Like, is it possible getting to 15K per month, like working in that role?
Yeah.
So as you can see, the reason we want to always expand on a numbers gap, and 15K is great. Obviously, the bigger the number, the better. But if she gives me like I want to make 5K a month from my e-commerce store, right? That's not a big enough gap. So when you get to this part here and you say, how long would it take you to X? It's really hard for you to pull this frame off if you don't get that numbers gap. That's why it's real important for you to go ahead and say, is that the real goal or the humble goal? So you can actually separate that gap when you get to this frame here.
No.
It's not. Okay. And the reason I ask is, like, look, the concern I really have, it's like, what if you don't do this and you don't learn the right skills, and because of that as a byproduct, you never really get to, achieve and, I guess, like, really like experience what it's like to be in a position where you can have that freedom, have that control. And you just keep getting more of the same results, like 3 to 5 years down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've always survived. I'll just keep surviving. That's just the way it goes.
You can do that, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, right?
No, I don't want it to be that way.
Yeah. So is that something you want to settle for though? Like, you're truly willing to settle for that?
For what? To just keep going the way I am?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to. I don't. That's why I'm trying to.
Okay. So consequence of inaction, you never want to fumble this part here, or it's just going to make the process and the call shitty and awkward. So as you can see, when she said, "Oh, well, I'll survive," that's her protecting herself. A lot of people do that to protect themselves. So you want to give them more pushback and just say, "Well, I mean, yeah, you're sure you can keep surviving, but are you willing to just keep surviving? Because when was the last time you felt free?" So that's like the perfect frame right there.
Do something that looks realistic to me.
Yep.
And looks, honest and something that I can do, something that I think I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is this something you feel like you are committed to getting into then?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, that's all I really need to hear, because based on our conversation today and based on everything we've been through, like what we're doing will work for you, right? Because you know how you said you've been working in admin for a number of years now, but it's sort of like leading you to feel, I think you mentioned like a little bit of stress and just like a lack of like freedom and control of like your life in general.
Yeah.
Well, what I want to do, I want to run you through like the package and coaching that's going to benefit you the most moving forward. But is that a good next step?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do it. Beautiful.
Perfect. Now, from that point on, as you can see, literally started pitching within 14 minutes and 5 seconds. Okay. Now, that's the power of having a good discovery, having a good process. Obviously, having a prospect who is, somewhat problem aware already helps, of course. But this is what happens when you use the right line of questioning, because so many sales reps say they will ask one good question and then the prospect will give you 2 to 3 different things like hot buttons to press on. And then you choose the wrong thing. You don't probe and clarify into the right thing. I see this time and time again with the sales reps I do train. So moving forward from this point on, I go through the pitch. As you can see for here, it's like about a 7 to 10 minute pitch. I think we go through questions. Then we get a down payment. We get a deposit down. I book her in for finance and she pays 7.8K the following day or the day after. So 7.8K for 52 minutes, but technically 14 minutes of discovery. So that is the power of using the right line of questioning. So you implement this as soon as you can and you'll see the results.